Hi there, Ron here. Listen, we're in the middle of a meeting here with a great deal of the company. We're talking about an event we're going to be doing in September over my birthday, a really cool new 3-day event. And we're planning that. And then these questions came in, and I interrupted the meeting and stopped what we were doing to answer your questions. So Nick, do you want to pan around and let them see the folks that are in our meeting? We just got through eating lunch, so they're all kind of out of it right now. So let me go ahead and get these questions answered.
All right, first question is from Evgenii. It says, Ron, looks like there were several updates to the key documents used in pretty houses and other methods. However, the docs on the Gold Club are circa 2014. Are there any updates to these documents? And if so, can we get the updated documents uploaded?
Well, Nick, I need your help on that one. If they've been updated, have they not been already loaded?
Yep, any that have been updated have been loaded. If you see an old updated date, that just means that that particular document has not been updated and it's still valid and still current.
So you're listening to the guy who actually runs that site and built that site, so he would know more than me.
All right, next question is from Eddielamar. Says, where can I download the articles to create my LLC?
That's your question, Nick.
Like articles of incorporation? We don't have things like that.
No, the only articles that we don't even have articles of incorporation on there. And besides, that's kind of state by state anyway. You can go on your state website and download those. That's the same website that you actually form a corporation on.
And we have a recommendation for people to do LLCs?
I'm suggesting that you don't form your own LLC. If I were you, I'd contact Bob Bloom, that's B-L-U-H-M, and tell him we sent you, because his whole business is asset protection, entity structuring, and forming LLCs, and he'll form one for you, any state in the union, and he'll give you a nice package and give you an operating agreement that'll protect you, that you will not get off of any website. How to get a hold of Bob Bloom, Nick, maybe, I don't know, just Google him, I guess. It's $497, he normally charges $1,000. Just use my name and tell him I sent you.
All right, next question is from Michael in Arizona. Says, I seriously get about 5 to 8 calls every week and also get text messages asking me if I want to sell my house. Has this affected us at all?
Well, this hot market has certainly affected us. We just adapt. There's still a whole ton of terms deals out there, but they're not going to be the beautiful houses in the beautiful neighborhoods that people can sell for all cash because they're going as fast as they can put them on the market. They're usually going to be houses that have somewhat of a seller problem. Sometimes it's a little house problem. For example, maybe the house not ready to sell. Maybe it needs some updating. Maybe it's just full of junk and the seller don't want to even talk to a realtor or call them or let them in their house, and they sure don't want people coming in and seeing it. Maybe people just need a quick fast sale and they want to get out of town. And there's a big old long list, so don't think for a minute that people won't do terms deals, but there's no question there are a whole lot less of them than there were when the market caught on fire. But I guess my biggest question is how many exactly do you need anyway? Can't handle but 1 or 2 at a time. Now we're going to be doing a boot camp here in Jacksonville live next week, and students are bringing in leads. You watch how many terms deals we get out of those leads that those students bring in, and they're from the same marketplaces that you live in. So it's just a matter of going through the pile of leads and getting to the ones that'll do business with you. And truthfully, that's the same thing happens with every business. Here at Global, think of how many people we have to get in touch with before any of them will come on to Planet Ron. I had a restaurant. There was a whole bunch of people went by my restaurant every day, but only a few of them came in at night. So business is all about going through all the oysters to get to the pearls. So that's no different than what we do. Same with the ugly house business. Okay, how many sellers do you have to contact to get one that's got a house that needs rehab? Right? So it's all a process, and that's why we have all this implementation. In fact, I want you to turn over here to Pam Patton, who's sitting right here. Happens to be right beside me. This lady's in charge of our virtual assistant department. I mean, she handles all of those folks day in and day out. And I'm telling you, I wouldn't want her job. That's a job. And so how many you got now right now?
Virtual assistants, we have about 30.
30. And you imagine handling 30 virtual assistants, some of which do nothing but call sellers for you all day long. So by the way, if you don't have our virtual assistant service by now, you should get it. Where should they go to get it, ma'am?
Go to ronsva.com, and
ronsva.com.
that's where you go to sign up.
Yeah, it's cheap, and it's an important ingredient to your success because they take all the grunt work off of your back.
All right.
By the way, if you haven't registered for my boot camp next week, it starts on Tuesday. You still got time to get here. The Jacksonville airport is open as far as I know. And if it isn't, Interstate 95 is.
It is open.
It is open, you confirm that?
Yeah.
All right.
Michael, second question is, what about yellow letters? Are they useless now, or do they still work?
No, they're not useless, and yes, they still work, but we got a new program now called Ron's Deal Finder, where you can go in there and create your own list, just about any type of list that you want, and they'll do the mailing for you, and they'll mail them cheaper than yellow letters, and you pick postcards, letters, and they'll do the yellow letter type mailing as well, all on there, so it's becoming a lot easier. And so go to ronsdealfinder.com and you get the skinny on that. Very, very cheap for that whole program. And literally they use artificial intelligence as well. So we're trying to bring you up to date. We're always staying on the cutting edge here.
All right, and then we have 3 questions from Edgar to finish us out. Edgar's in Florida, says, "Hi Ron, I'm watching your terms course, and you mentioned that in Florida I cannot buy a house that is in foreclosure using subject-to strategy. Can you please explain that? What would be the alternative?"
That is actually not true, Edgar. And I'm not sure that's exactly what I said, but if I did, it's been totally changed now. You can certainly buy it using the subject-to strategy, but you need to learn the foreclosure laws before you buy houses out of foreclosure in any state. I don't care what state it is, because all of them have their own foreclosure laws. I don't want you to go awry of them, not knowing that you're going awry of them. And that's also why I want you to close with attorneys.
All right, Edgar's next question. Ron, what are the risks of creating a wrap when the seller has a RELOC attached to it?
HELOC.
I think he means HELOC.
Home equity line of credit. There is a higher risk that the bank will call the loan due if they find out the house is transferred. So before you buy a house with a HELOC or a reverse mortgage, you should have an exit strategy in your mind to cash out of that thing in a relatively short time if you have to. You could always take your tenant buyer. Now, if I was going to buy a house with a HELOC, I think I'd put a tenant buyer in there that was close to being qualified to cash out instead of one that I know is never going to get qualified. So if I had to pull that exit strategy, I could take them to the bank and work with them to get cashed out. If the bank wants to call a loan due, which is highly unlikely, and they see somebody in the house and they're not that far away from being qualified to cash out, they're not going to call a loan due. They're probably going to be the lender that actually makes the loan to that owner-occupant lease option tenant buyer just to get that house off of their books. I'm telling you right now, banks do not want houses. And you're probably never going to understand why banks do not. I don't care how much equity's in it. The last thing a bank wants is a house. It's internal issues, it's government regulations, it's a defaulted asset the minute they file foreclosure on it, and it reduces the amount that they can loan out and causes all kinds of other internal problems. For a bank to want a house is about like me wanting COVID. And I don't want COVID.
Finally, if I put my own house, the one I reside in a land trust, do I have to pay transfer taxes?
No, you do not. Depends on what state you're here in Florida, you have to pay $7 plus about $20 to record the deed. You do not have to pay transfer taxes to put your residence in a trust for estate planning purposes.
Can I use my LLC as the beneficiary?
No, your LLC should not. A beneficiary should be you, not your LLC. You do not want your LLC owning your residence. You're going to run into tax issues. But your LLC can be the trustee of that trust. Mine is.
All right. That's it.
That's all you got? All right. You guys better send in more questions than that. That wasn't even a good exercise. I'm trying to impress these people that I'm sitting around here. And that wasn't enough questions to even get that started. I'll see you next week. Stay tuned. We got a lot of cool stuff coming even before the end of this year. Don't we, Jennifer? Put that thing over here on Jennifer.
Hey.
That's Jennifer Shedlick. She runs the show here.
Yeah.
She makes all the decisions, good, bad, or ugly. She makes all the decisions and does all the thinking. I'm just a pretty face. See you next week.